cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife, leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Black and white.
Well, good evening everyone, and welcome to Hungary, the Hungaroring, for round 5 of the World Touring Car Challenge, presented to you by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. We're here on the 14th of October on this great venue. This series brought to you by ourselves and with the support of our sponsors. The prize givers themselves, Apex Tracks. The winner of this series walks away with a model sculpture of the Nordschleife. And the other partners, sponsors and affiliates part of the two organisations include PowerMax Racing, Track Racer, Fast R, 603 Autosport and Joyce Design. Tonight, as we mentioned, we're here at the Hungaroring, a fabulous track, and we're given a tour of it here by Norbert Mikschlitz himself. Not himself, it's just his car driving around. But the Hungaroring itself in Magyarország in north-central Hungary. 20 kilometers northeast of Budapest, really not that far away from the city centre, the capital city centre. And this track opened in 1986. It is Hungary's biggest racing facility, and it is one of Hungary's biggest tourist attractions, the third most popular tourist attraction in Hungary. And this track, from when it was built 1986, as we mentioned, featured on the Formula 1 calendar almost straight away. It was built for purpose and has never really disappeared off the calendar since. It's been given the nickname the Monaco without buildings, as it's difficult to overtake here, it's twisty and it's bumpy, so presenting a big challenge to our drivers tonight. Very little has changed with this track over the years. Turn 1 and turns 12 are the most notable changes to this circuit since it opened. Turn 1 is now a much sharper hairpin and turn 12 is a much sharper corner. This track, 4.381 kilometers in length, and it costs just £2.53 to buy on RaceRoom. 15 turns, 15 official turns, although the final corner is turn 14, work that one out. 9 corners to the right and 6 to the left, and hosted over the years, as we mentioned, it's hosted many Formula 1 Grand Prix over the years since 1986, and has hosted the Race of Hungary since 2011, this track has. Tonight we have World Touring Car action for you, and these are the cars we're going to see on offer with this. The Honda Civic, which has been giving us a tour of the Hungaroring right now, and of course there is also the Chevrolet RML Cruze, the Lada Vesta and the Volvo S60 Polestar. This is our itinerary for tonight. We have qualifying coming up in just over 5 minutes time. That will set the grid for the first race of the night, which is a 15-minute sprint race. Following almost immediately after the first race will be another 15-minute sprint race, but the grid for that race will be based on the results of race 1, where they'll be reversed of the top 10. There'll be a quick intermission in between races 2 and 3, but when we come back with race 3, it will be a 25-minute feature race. But the grid for race 3 will be based on the results of race 2, but the top 18 finishers will be reversed. This is our season we have undergone so far and will continue to undergo as the weeks and months go by. We started off just near a month ago at Monza in Italy for what a round that was. In fact, all rounds of this championship have been brilliant to watch. Paul Ricard took place for the second round of the season, followed by Spa-Francorchamps round 3. Last week was at the Slovakia Ring, and this week we've headed south to Hungaroring. And for next week we'll head west to Austria for the Salzburg Ring. A week off in between round 6 and 7, of which round 7 will be the Moscow Raceway in Russia. We'll fly out of Europe over the Atlantic and to the Sonoma Valley in California for round 8 of the championship. Round 9, over the Pacific we go to Japan, the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. We'll stay in Asia for rounds 10. Shanghai Intermediate WTCC layout will take place for round 10. What a popular venue that was back in the day for World Touring Cars. Round 11 will be the Chang circuit in Thailand, a very fast, wide, expansive track featuring the penultimate round of the championship. We're back over to Europe for the Greenhound Nordschleife, which will be the final round of the championship on the 9th of December. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, Apex Tracks being our main sponsor and prize giver, the winner of the championship, upon conclusion of the Nordschleife round 12, will walk away with a model sculpture of the Nordschleife created by Apex Tracks from modern F1 technology. And of course, we also have plaques available. We have a Pro and Am category championship, of which the top 3 in each category will take away a plaque from Uncle Luke's sign and sticker shop. You can still get involved in the series if you wish to. We have a couple of new entries tonight and in future races. You can still get involved. There's plenty of seats available and plenty of action to get involved with. Head over to crestautosport.com or nextgenracing.co.uk to find out how to get involved in this series. And we join the live action here at the Nordschleife. The Nordschleife? The Hungaroring, sorry. I've gone a couple of weeks ahead of myself already. A couple of months ahead of myself already. The Hungaroring tonight, what a track we have. What a track this is. 19 drivers in the server right now as we reveal the practice times at the moment. But we'll get a little bit more housekeeping done and dusted before we go into today's action. Just a little bit more housekeeping, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. But it is what people want to know. It is the championship standings and the results from last week, which we'll go over first. So these were the results from Slovakia Ring just a week ago. William Barrera topped the standings in qualifying, and he has been the master of qualifying this season. 3 pole positions he's had this season, but he hasn't been able to convert it into race wins. Not as much as he'd like, anyway. He's had 2 race wins this season and 3 pole positions, but William Barrera battled with his team, with fellow Lada driver Matt Zenko and his teammate, that is, for that top spot. And it was Matt Zenko who came out on top, taking the lead very early on as lap 1, turn 1, and he went away to win the race. David Kernan losing out on 3rd place, and it was Jamie Dory coming through from the mid-pack to take 3rd place. Race 2 was an exciting race where David Kernan came through to win his 2nd race win of the season, and in 2nd place, a hard-fought Elliott House fought for that top spot with David Kernan, but the Am driver, top of the standings now in the Am category, 2nd place for him in his first podium of the season. Jamie Dory with another sterling drive to get himself from 8th on the grid to 3rd position by the end of that race. And speaking of Jamie Dory, he also won race 3, earning himself the Apex Tracks Driver of the Day award. Lee Horn taking 2nd place with Geoff Purkiss, the championship leader going into last week, taking the final spot on the podium in that final race. And what did that do to the championship standings? Well, here it is. Geoff Purkiss stays top of the standings with 10 points clear ahead of Lee Horn, so really not that much at all clear of his rival. And down in 3rd place there, 32 points behind the top spot, it is Neil Crave. In 4th place it is William Barrera, followed by Heike Navalov. Heike Navalov being the only one out of the top 5 who hasn't won a race yet this season. But Mr. Navalov, if these seasons in the DTMs we had at the beginning of the year and last season the Euro TCR has taught us anything, Navalov gets good results, consistent results, and is a championship contender always. David Kernahan's 6th place despite having missed a round. Very impressive from him, as it has been with Jamie Dory down in 7th place there. Alex Ward with nice consistent results this season, he's in 8th place. And tied for 9th place, it's Am category leader Elliott House and Ian Deeney. One thing to remember with our championship standings is it also decides the ballast that these drivers carry into the races. So ballast is weight applied to the cars to basically dampen their performance, to put it quite brutally. So top of the championship standings is Geoff Purkiss, therefore he carries the most ballast of 40 kilos, and it runs down across the top 10 in increments of 4. And of course, tied 9th place at the bottom there, they both have 8 kilograms because they're both in 9th place. And more standings and stats to present to you. There is a team's championship on offer here, and I know you can't really tell what drivers are in here, but I'll try my best to tell you who's in what team. But at the top, it's Lada Sport 2016, driven by that's Neil Crave, William Barrera, and Matej Zenko. So they're applying a lot of points with their good results this season. Munich Motorsport 2016 is driven by Lee Horn and Alex Ward. They're getting the points in down there in 2nd place. It might be more than 100 points behind, but in the team's championship, it can be made up in 1 or 2 meetings, so do not write them off just yet. 3rd place, Honda Racing JAS 2017, driven by Heike Navalov and Ian Deeney. And that is the Teams Championship. And we have mentioned it already, the AM category championship is worth keeping an eye on. Elliot House tops the standings from Ollie Janssen, who did, bear in mind, missed last race at Slovakia. So he's there in second place, having relinquished his championship lead. And Roy Plummer, the defending champion, just 1 point behind him in third place in category. And just like that, we are into qualifying. The session has started. 19 drivers make their way out onto the circuit. And it is Lee Horn at the head of the pack, leading them out. And back there we have got William Barrera moving his way around the outside of his teammate, Andrea Balcio. New driver this week, so welcome along to the series to him. Teammates with, as we mentioned, William Barrera, Neil Crave and Maciej Zenko. Let's see how he'll get on tonight. He's not in the same car. I'm sure they'll still be working together fairly closely to get themselves the results. Another new entry in the championship tonight is Viktor Gorik of Ukraine. He took part in our Spa 50 event a couple of months ago back in May. Welcome along to Mr. Gorik in the only Volvo in the field today. So waving the flag for the Swedish brand. So we've got the drivers going around this Hungaroring track right now. Very technical track, as we mentioned. Very popular Formula 1 venue. One of Lewis Hamilton's most successful tracks. So has quite a dent on Formula 1 history. I mean, one of the most iconic parts of Hungaroring over the years was a move from Nelson Piquet on Ayrton Senna. Going around that, well, it's not there anymore, but the first corner of the track, which used to be quite a rounded hairpin, now is a very sharp first gear hairpin. But we all know that move if we know Formula 1 that well. And I'm just trying to pick out a driver to give us a tour of the Hungaroring, and in fact, we don't have any Hungarian drivers here, but who is riding the Norbert Michelitz livery? Well, it is Ian Deeney. So Ian Deeney will eventually give us a tour of the Hungaroring. No pressure, Ian. I picked him out because he is riding the Norbert Michelitz livery. One of Hungary's most successful ever racing drivers, and he did finally get his glory in the championship by winning the WTCR 2019. And he'll come across the line to give us a tour of the circuit. On board with him now, down the main straight we go, and approaching turn 1. There's no names for any of these corners, they're all numbers. Into turn 1 we go, second gear, keeping the revs very, very high actually, because you don't want wheel spin coming out of that slow corner. Into the next corner, which is 1A, just a kink to the right. And then into turn 2 we go, a downhill long left-hander, rather reminiscent of the first original turn 1 we had, but the opposite direction. Into turn 3, flat out right-hander, not taking much curb on the inside there from Ian Deeney, keeping the corner fairly rounded. We'll veer off to the right, maybe a slight kink to the right as we approach the next corner. Left here, going a little bit wide there. Through turn 4 was Ian Deeney, but we'll carry on through the course. As we go, long right-hander up the hill we go to the highest point of the circuit. Into the chicane we go of turns 6 and 7. Right, missing the apex again there. Maybe the tyres aren't quite warmed up on Ian's car just yet, but we'll persevere. Through turn 8 we go, left-hander, another right-hander, turn 9. It's just a left-right, constant all the way around this circuit, and it's very tough on the tyres and very tricky to overtake. Turn 10, flat-out left-hander, and then down into third gear again for turn 11. Back end stepping out a little bit for Ian Deeney there as we come down towards turn 12. Braking downhill into this very, very sharp right-hander. Second gear, and now a quick dash up to turn 13. Uphill left-hander. Very long corner here. Taking a late apex there. Yes, he does Mr. Deeney. And then into the 15th corner of the circuit, turn 14. Long right-hander here, taking a late apex onto the curb, symbolising the colours of Hungary, and we head towards the start-finish line. That is a lap of Hungary from Ian Deeney, who's was 9th in the championship going into tonight. And we have Elliott House, also 9th in the championship, crossing the line here. Into 8th place he goes. A couple of drivers to welcome back tonight, as I've just spotted them. Coleman Corkery made his debut 2 weeks ago at Spa-Francorchamps and put on a very good show. Narrowly missed out on driver of the day, in my opinion anyway. But he's back this week, and we'll see how he gets on. In fact, he's also... I thought he was driving the Nagy livery there, but that is Georgiadis, another Hungarian driver livery out there. But it's Lee Horn at the top of the stands at the moment, not by much ahead of William Barrera, considering how long this lap is. 1 minute 48, which you imagine this track, you don't think it's that long. It really is in these cars. But he is just 600ths ahead of William Barrera. Just nipping into 8th place there is Victor Gorik on his debut. We'll see how he gets on tonight. Who else have we got to watch? Ollie Jansen on a personal best, down in 12th in the standings, but we do know that the Honda takes a long time to warm up its tyres, as we saw from Ian Deeney just a moment ago. One of my favourite liveries of the field there, Ricard Rydell's livery from 2016, I believe so, as Ollie Jansen goes into the final corner. Swedish driver missed out last week at Slovakia Ring, relinquished his lead in the AM category championship, but I'm sure he'll be fighting back to try and get it back this week. Up into 10th place he goes, just ahead of his rival, in fact, for the AM category, Elliott House. Roy Plummer, very, very good first sector. Roy Plummer, AM category defending champion, 3rd in the standings. He is 6th right now. It says 7th on the bomb. That's because Geoff Purkiss is just nipped ahead of him. But Roy Plummer now 8th in the standings, as Neil Crave has just set a time. Very good first sector. Not such a good second sector, but by the looks of it, he's doing okay against his rivals. His rivals being drivers such as Ollie Jansen, Elliott House, and Andrea Balsio there. A couple of drivers haven't set a time yet, including Jamie Dory, Mark Arrowsmith, Stephen de Gravelia. Anastasios Georgiadis is serving a back of grid penalty, so therefore he can't do any laps in qualifying. And Matt Jeffrey, yet to set a time. 8th place Roy Plummer doesn't improve his time, but that's still a good performance thus far. Lee Horn is in the pits. He'll come back out on the track with more than half the session to go on fresh tyres, and we'll try and set an even better time just to cement his grasp on that top spot. In qualifying here, Mark Arrowsmith has put himself into 9th place, just a few hundredths behind one of his rivals for AM category, Roy Plummer, as he goes a little bit wide and deep into turn 1 there. Will abort his time and will probably reset the car for a new lap, and that was very close. Victor Gorik screaming by in the Cyan Racing Polestar Volvo there. And 11th at the moment for Victor. Let's see how he gets on later on in the session. David Kernan, one of the contenders for driver of the day last week, in my opinion. He's been brilliant every round this season so far, as David Kernan. He hasn't finished outside the top 10 once yet this season in 9 races, and has had 2 wins, one in race 1 at Spa and one at race 2 of Slovakia Ring. So he's really a force to be reckoned with this season, is David Kernan. In the Lada, which we've seen this season is a very, very dominating car. And we've just seen Geoff Purkiss, our championship leader, cross the line to put himself into 5th place in the standings. Geoff Purkiss, who has... how many wins has he got to his... 1 win to his name, 4 top 3... 4 top 3s, and a fast lap this season. You wouldn't look at those stats and think... well, you wouldn't look at those stats and think championship leader. You definitely wouldn't. But he's just been picking up good results. He's been staying ahead of his championship rivals. The amount of times I've counted this season where it's been him against Lee Horn, and he's been ahead. But it's a very good battle between him and Lee Horn this season, but they can't write off William Barrera yet. William Barrera had 1 bad event at Spa-Francorchamps, but that means he drops less points in the championship. He is quite high up in the championship as well, 47 points down from the leader. So he's definitely in the running for the championship. He keeps putting in good results, and he'll be there. And he has gone outright best in Sector 1. He's got Jamie Dory slipstreaming behind. That's certainly a driver to look out for, is Jamie Dory. Driver of the day last week, as we mentioned, at Slovakia Ring, but it looks like he might be on an out lap or an invalidated lap, as his sector times have not appeared. William Barrera will approach the end of Sector 2 shortly, for him and Lee Horn, dominating the field so far in qualifying with 5.5 minutes to go. They both are near, just over or under, whichever drive you're looking at, 6/10 clear of third place, and another outright quickest in Sector 2 for William Barrera. The Mr. Saturday, we'll call him, as he's always at the top of the standings in qualifying. 3 pole positions this season. The only person that's beat him to pole this season is Lee Horn, and that was at Paul Ricard. A very wide entry into the final corner. A very straight exit will give him good straight line speed. Setting up for the next lap. Has it slowed him down for this lap? Yes, it has. Well, something happened in that final sector that I didn't notice. If it was just going right there at the final corner, William Barrera stays second after what looked like a very promising first and second sector. Leon is still in the pits, so he'll have to come out soon if he wants to get himself at least a lap in. Either that, or he's very confident. Matt Jeffrey has just put himself to 16th in the standings. Welcome back to Matt. Missed last week and the week before at Slovakia Ring and Spa, but he's back today. Who else have we got? David Kernan. Look at that Sector 1 time. Brilliant, brilliant time. And he got himself a little bit closer to Lee Horn on that final lap. He's got himself within 6/10 rather than being 6/10 off. And Sector 2's not that good. Let's see if he can hook up a good Sector 3 here. Kernan gets through turn 12 here. Up into 13th goes Stephen de Gravelia. He's on the standings finally with 4 minutes to go. Round turn 13. Now into turn 14 goes Kernan. Taking a different line to what we saw from William Barrera. That is the more conventional line, especially around that corner. And across the line will go David Kernan. He stays third place, but what a time that is. It gets him much closer, just quarter of a second behind Lee Horn. Is there more in the tank for Kernan? We'll find out, I'm sure. But speaking of plenty in the tank, William Barrera is putting in a good shift here. Oh, the back end steps out a little bit there going through the final corner, but he's taken a different line through that corner to what we saw on the previous lap. Is this enough to get William Barrera to the top of the standings? Yes, it is. Top of the standings he goes by just 76 thousandths of a second. It's really not clear by a huge amount just yet, as Lee Horn is out on the track. He's going to try for one more lap to try and pip one of his championship rivals to the top spot. But what a time there from William Barrera. Let's see how David Kernan's getting on. Purple in Sector 1. Can he disappoint the pair of them? Getting to the top of the standings. Kernan has been one that drivers have turned around and thought we better keep an eye on him, as he's been racing brilliantly this season. Qualifying hasn't been something to show off about this season, but this time around it's looking good. And in the same as the previous lap, Kernan loses out in the second sector. I wonder if it's the Achilles heel of that ladder, but then again William Barrera does have a ladder as well, so it must be it's the Achilles heel of Kernan himself rather than the car. Let's see how he gets on in Sector 3. He's 3/10 down, and he might get time to do another lap. Realistically, you need to be crossing the line in the next 20 seconds, less than that now, 15 seconds, to be finishing another lap here. At the final corner, Kernan will get another chance if he does want to set another time, and he pulls over to the side. That hasn't gone quicker. He's messed up this third sector. You can tell by the way he's veering off to the side of the track. That'll be it for David Kernan. Third place is the highest he'll be able to manage. Lee Horn progressing through Sector 1 at the moment. William Barrera is well down, and he will not get another chance after this lap. As I mention in every stream, once that timer at the top of our screens hits 0, that is it. Qualifying is over. Finito. Will not be able to complete your lap no matter what. And Lee Horn not... Oh, he missed the apex for the first corner of the chicane there. Jamie Dory finally sets a time in this session. Last week's driver of the day puts himself 6th. I suppose you'd be happy with that given how little time he had left in this session. Sector 2 is a personal best for Lee Horn, but he's certainly not close enough to harm the spirits of William Barrera in qualifying at the moment. Less than a minute to go in this session. Is Lee Horn going to disappoint the top spot driver? Geoff Purkiss comes out the final corner. We're looking at him because he's in the championship running. 5th is all he can manage. He reverts to the pits, and all of the top 9 are in the pits. Roy Plummer is still out there. Janssen and de Gravelia is still out there, as is this man here. We're watching Lee Horn. If this is a very good Sector 3, it could put him to the top of the standings. Lee Horn stays second, but he's so close. He got himself a lot closer to William Pereira then. And that will conclude qualifying for tonight. And it is another pole position for William Pereira, 4th of the season. And on the front row yet again, Lee Horn alongside him in second, followed by David Kernan. Alex Ward with his best qualifying result of the season with 4th, with Geoff Purkiss the championship leader in 5th. Last week's driver of the day, 6th for Jamie Dory, with Neil Craig 3rd in the championship is 7th. Heike Navalov, without a win yet to his name this season, is 8th, followed by Ian Deeney and Roy Plummer, quickest of the AM category, in 10th position. Mark Arrowsmith follows in 11th, followed by Coleman Corkery in 12th. Ollie Janssen in 13th, followed by newcomer tonight, Victor Gorik. Stephen Gravelia in 15th, followed by Elliot House. Andrea Balcio in 17th, Matt Jeffrey 18th, and lining up 19th will be Anastasios Georgiadis, who's serving a penalty. Well, good, nice, exciting qualifying session. Let's see if the racing is as good as that. And if this season has told us anything, it's the racing is always exciting in this category and this collection of tracks. And if you want to get involved in this action, you can still enter the championship if you wish to. It is the World Touring Cars categories of 2015, 16 and 17 on RaceRoom. And they're the 12 tracks we're racing on. You can still get involved in the season. You can find out more by going to crestautosport.com or nextgenracing.co.uk. You can also message either our Facebook pages to get involved in the series. All you need is a wheel, pedals, or even a controller. Controllers do work on RaceRoom. Of course, you need RaceRoom, the game, which is free, by the way. It's just the content you need to buy for RaceRoom, including one or all of the cars. Whichever car you enter with, whichever car takes your fancy, you can either buy just that, or you can buy the entire pack. And of course, you need the tracks. That's all you need to get started in this series, to get involved in this great racing. We do have categories for all as well. We have what's called the AM category, which is the drivers who are perhaps less experienced. They don't quite have the equipment that some of the drivers at the front have, or as I said, the experience. But there's plenty of opportunities for all skills of drivers to get involved in this series. Or if you think you can just beat everyone in this series, get involved and show them what you're made of. A huge shout out to our sponsors of this championship, Apex Tracks. They are providing the prize, the main prize for this championship. The winner of this championship will take home a model sculpture of the Nordschleife to hang up on their walls as memorabilia of this series. And we are soon about to get ourselves into the first race of the night. What can we expect from this first race? Well, we'll find out very shortly. This is the World Touring Car Challenge presented by Crest Autosport and Next Gen Racing. Welcome along on behalf of Crest Autosport TV and Next Gen Racing TV. My name's Alex Everitt, your commentator tonight. Do give, wherever you are watching from, whatever platform you are watching on, give it a like, share, and or subscribe or follow. Much appreciated. But the racing is about to get underway. Drivers line up here at Hungaroring on the main straight. Lights are red. And away we go. And I think it's a drive-through penalty already for Victor Gorik with the jump start. But it's a good start off the line from William Pereira. He comes across the track to block off Lee Horn. But Lee Horn might have found his way on the inside as we run down into turn one. Here we go into turn one. And Lee Horn doesn't get the move done. He stays behind and he has to check off against David Kernan on his outside there. Into turn two we go. And look at that on the inside. That is Geoff Purkiss on the inside of Alex Ward. And he's got the inside for the next corner. And now Jamie Dory is going to creep up the inside of Geoff Purkiss as we go around turn three. Everyone seems to be safe and sound out of the first corners on this circuit. Through we go through turn four. And into turn 5 we go. Looking on the outside there, it's Jamie Dory on Geoff Purkiss. Now Alex Ward, he is teammates with Lee Horn, remember, of All Inkle 2016 Munich Motorsports. So you definitely want to hold up. Well, Lee Horn would definitely want Alex Ward to hold up Geoff Purkiss in this race to help Lee Horn get more championship points on his rival. But Lee Horn has got a job to do himself. He's got to get ahead of another championship rival and stay ahead of another championship rival. But so far is William Barrera at the front. Italian driver in an Italian driver's car. Gabriele Tarquini's car from 2017, I think that might be. And a slow down penalty for William Barrera, going a bit too wide coming off of turn 11 there. And Lee Horn eases in as he has to serve the slow down. He still has it, according to our virtual stewards. And into the final corner we go of the first lap. And lap 1 led by William Barrera. He moves to the inside to try and get rid of the slipstream from Lee Horn. Can't move across the track too many times. He moved once across and he can move back. And that is it. Oh, Lee Horn very late on the brakes there. Had to swerve to avoid. That was nearly a dangerous moment there for Lee Horn. But he got away with it. And he gets away nice and safe and sound. Mark Arrowsmith, a good start for him. I believe he qualified 11th, and he's up to 8th already. Good start for him. Heading the AM category at the moment in the race. So we see how he gets on. And we have got a driver dropping down. I think that's Matt Jeffrey. He's gone wide there at turn 2. And he'll drop behind Anastasios Georgiadis and Andrea Balcio. Back at the front. Lee Horn very close again to William Barrera, having dropped off a little bit at turn 1. Now, the comparisons we always have in every race. Lada versus Chevrolet versus Honda versus Volvo. We have seen that the Chevrolet is very good on the twisty technical tracks and sections, but the Lada is very good at powering out of the corners and down the straights. That is where it's getting its advantage, and definitely at the start and very end of this lap is where the Lada is at its best. And this is the section of the track, Sector 2 particularly, where the Chevrolet is at its best. The Chevrolet of which driven by that man there, Lee Horn, in a Rosneft sandwich there. Coming out of turn 13. Nothing yet from Lee Horn. It's a very difficult track to overtake on. You need to get yourself a good run out of these corners. And that looked like a very good pace through that corner from Lee Horn. Again, coming over to the right side of the track, left from our point of view, is William Barrera to try and cut off the slipstream from the Chevrolet. But of course the Chevrolet just can't keep up on outright pace alone down the straights. So it's got to be all done through the corners for Lee Horn. He takes a late exit, a late apex through turn 1. He's all over the rear of the Italian, who goes to defend the inside going into turn 2. Into turn 2 we go. Lee Horn can't keep it round the outside of the Italian. So he has to keep it behind and will have to try again for another corner. All this battling is going to bunch up the field though if they carry on. Kernan is quite a way off, a car's length behind Lee Horn. But I'm sure he's waiting, he's trying to find his moment. Waiting for Lee Horn to make the first move and then pounce presumably. But Lee Horn, you can just see in that Chevrolet, he's able to lock it onto the apex of the corner much earlier than the Lada is. And that's how he's able to get through the corners quicker. Kernan with the slow down penalty, cutting the chicane then a little bit too much. We'll have to serve that periodically through the corners. And let's see what else is going on. Coleman Corkery in a big battle here. And just ahead of him, that is Ollie Jansen up against Roy Plummer. No, Elliot House, sorry. Elliot House moves past. And right behind him is Stephen de Grevelia. This is a battle for the AM category as well. 3rd place in the category. So there's plenty to play for here. Plenty of points on offer for these drivers. In the AM category is Mark Arrowsmith up in 8th place at the moment. Roy Plummer in 11th and 2nd in category. And down the road is Elliot House. Jamie Dory real close to Geoff Purkiss there, taking a wide berth around the corner. And we'll try and get a good exit. That's all the Chevrolet can try and do. The Chevrolets in the field include Lee Horn, Alex Ward, Jamie Dory, Stephen de Grevelia and Andrea Balcio. Dory looks always. Is he going to lunge to the inside? No, he's not. Geoff Purkiss keeps ahead in 5th place. And Geoff Purkiss, he's got himself to the top of the standings. He's not a driver who practices that often. He's not a driver who tends to panic. He just drives each race at his own comfortable pace as he goes wide at turn 2 there. And that's going to allow Jamie Dory through and into 5th place. A big mistake there from Geoff Purkiss. I think I might have cursed him a little bit there, but we'll forget that. It definitely wasn't me, Geoff. Down to 6th place he goes though, our championship leader. This is good news for Lee Horn, as at the top of the in the top 10, each point position is separated by 10 points. Not 10 points, 2 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This draws into within 2 points of Geoff Purkiss in the championship. This is exactly what he'd want. But he has got William Barrera to worry about in front still, who has two wins to his name already. And Lee Horn has 1, of which he picked up at Paul Ricard, race 1. A track very well suited to that Chevrolet. And this is another track that's quite suited to the Chevrolet. Top 10 is worth keeping an eye on, as 10th position in this race gets you reverse grid pole, of which is held by Ian Deeney right now in the Honda. It's a bit of a Honda trio there in 8th, 9th and 10th. But Deeney has got to watch his back as Roy Plummer is there lurking about, looking for that reverse grid spot, which will take him to the front of the grid for the start of the next race of the night. Race 2 is also a 15-minute sprint race. But reverse grids does mix things up a bit, and we see plenty of overtaking. Fairly tame race so far from these drivers. As we said, it's a difficult track to overtake on. But with that comes a little bit of desperation in the races where there's reverse grids. And these drivers probably are just looking, at this midpoint in the season, they are just looking to pick up good points. A lot of them will be desperate to get themselves in higher positions to catch up with their rivals. But there's a lot of drivers thinking, you know what, it's not worth risking it at this point in the season. That might be what Lee Horn's thinking right now. They have pulled away from David Kernan, or should I say David Kernan's dropped back a little bit. But if Lee Horn and William Barrera start battling, it might draw Kernan back closer. This is Ike Navalov, 5th in the championship coming into tonight, 9th in the race right here, right now. And focusing on Jamie Dory, who has broken away from Geoff Purkiss and is really easing in towards Alex Ward. And something's happened at the back. That is Matt Jeffrey. I can't tell what part of the track that is, but he's spun or something's happened. Trying to find reverse gear, that was it. And he, a very flamboyant spin to get it back on the track. And he gets going again. I think that's coming out of turn 4. Yes, it is. And into turn 5 he goes. He's dropped down a long way behind. But still in 19th is Matt Jeffrey. Coleman Corkery's also had a spin going into turn 12. Now, obviously we don't have replays on RaceRoom, so I'm not able to show that, but something's happened to him, and he was in a battle with Ollie Janssen and Steven de Gravelia. So something might have happened in amongst that. Lee Horn real close to William Barrera again. Can't find a way by. All Barrera has to do is park the car on the apex. And we are looking at Matt Jeffrey here. He's pulled over again. Something's happened to him. He can't seem to get the car facing in the right direction again. There might be troubles with his wheel. It seems rather delayed for when he's getting back on the track. But he's pulled over to the side, and that's going to cause a local yellow flag, which is bad for this man Lee Horn if he ever wants to line up a move on William Barrera. And I think he might be approaching the section where Matt Jeffrey is right now. I think it's coming out of turn 11 where Matt Jeffrey is. Is he still there? I think that is coming out of turn 11. This will be a local yellow flag for these drivers. Actually, I don't think it was coming out of turn 11, but no moves as of yet from Lee Horn. The field has rather dispersed a little bit between all the drivers. This is the battle to focus on right now. Lee Horn will be trying everything he can to try and get ahead of William Barrera. They're at the top of their game, these two drivers, putting the maximum they can through the car to get through the corners. So to get quicker than the driver ahead takes some going. Just under 4 minutes to go in this race, which means we'll probably get about 3 more laps. And Lee Horn, you can see he's got so much more power through the corner. But he gets right up to the rear, and that's it. There's nothing else he can do. As that Lada, once it gets in the straight line, it's gone. Very, very quick car is that Lada. I can see why it's been picked by many of the drivers in the grid. Matt Jeffrey's still pulled over to the side there. There must be an issue with him, as he wouldn't just leave the car there. It must be a controller issue or something like that. Barrera continues to lead here. Rather impressive defensive performance, and has broken away a little bit from Lee Horn, has opened the gap to 6/10. There's still a few laps to go. The completion of this one will see 2 more. And a lot of slowdown penalties happening now as the tyres start to degrade. A lot of drivers are running wide or cutting the corners a little bit too much to try and make the most of the corner. Stephen de Gravelia picked up a slowdown just a moment ago, but has seemed to have... No, he still has it. He still has it. And a lot of these drivers on RaceRoom try to serve their slowdown penalties under braking for corners. This is Jamie Dory. He's caught up to the rear of Alex Ward. Jamie Dory, who qualified 6th, got himself ahead of Geoff Purkiss eventually. Will be looking to try his hands on Alex Ward here. Alex Ward having a good race here. If we look at Alex Ward's record this season, he has not finished in the top 5 yet. So this is a rather impressive performance from Alex Ward. 8th in the championships, have picked some very, very good consistent results this season for Mr. Ward. And he'll be pleased with the performance in this race. And he's only 3 seconds off the leader. The view from Jamie Dory, if you can see past the numbers obscuring our view a little bit here. A slowdown penalty for David Kernan. He is just ahead of the all-Inkle car we can see ahead of us. And might that compromise Kernan's distance ahead of Alex Ward here? It does a little bit. You can see Ward and Dory in the Chevrolets are catching up with that Lada, and it could be a 3-way battle the remainder of this race for 3rd place. Ward now sees the opportunity to try and get 3rd place to help out his teammate in the championship. His teammate being Lee Horn in the same car and manufacturer and in the same team of which NXTGEN Racing. No moves just yet from Ward. Oh, Kernan went a little bit wide there. That brings Ward a little bit closer. And we're coming around the final corner here. This is not the final lap though. There'll be 1 more to go, and Lee Horn is trying everything. You can see he's got the gap back to within 2/10, 1/10, whatever it is, and he's right up on the rear. Coming out of the final corner there to start the final lap. Alex Ward is trying to hunt down David Kernan in 3rd place, just ahead of him. No move yet, but the Chevrolet are very, very late on the brakes. The Lada much weaker on the brakes. And a flash of lights there from Alex Ward, trying to distract David Kernan, trying to force him into a mistake. But so far from these drivers, it's been fairly smooth, touch wood. And Alex Ward taking a lot of that inside curb there to try and hook the corner and get a better speed through. But he might have conceded a little speed on the exit to Jamie Dory, who looks to the left side, can't find a way past. Jamie Dory, who's looking at the inside there, couldn't quite make it. Close between Barrera and Lee Horn. Barrera has a slowdown penalty. Somehow he'll have to serve that, and look how close Lee Horn is now at this point. Back here we've got Jamie Dory right behind Alex Ward as well, almost pushing him through the corner. Still got to slow down to serve is William Barrera. Lee Horn all over his rear. This is the final lap of the race. Jamie Dory with the slow down penalty. Plenty going around as they're all finding the limits on this track. Lee Horn looked to the inside, couldn't quite make it. He finds the outside and he gets in front at turn 11, and there was a bit of contact between the two. Lee Horn runs wide and he's back into second place. Oh, and he's run wide at turn 12. Is that a puncture? He keeps going, it might not be, but he ran wide there. He went a little bit off track, and that forced him to slow down a lot for turn 12. Or 13, should I say. But coming through eventually is William Barrera, who will take the win here at the Hungaroring for race 1 of the night. Lee Horn, with a big effort on that final lap, will have to take second in the end there. David Kernan just about hangs on to third place from Alex Ward. Jamie Dory getting through a fair few cars to get there, but 5th place for him. Well, I wish we had replays, because I'm definitely going to look back at that bit of contact between William Barrera and Lee Horn. That was quite interesting indeed. But it's not going to end here. We've got another race coming up later on in the night. Ian Deeney secures the top 10 spot, earning himself reverse grid pole for race 2 coming up in just a few moments time. And once everyone has crossed the line, which is now, these are the standings of the first race of the night. William Barrera takes fastest lap and the race win here at Hungaroring, the first race of the night. Lee Horn takes second from Kernan in third and Ward in fourth. Jamie Dory taking the top 5 spot. Geoff Purkiss in 6th, followed by Neil Crave and Mark Arrowsmith, top of the AM category in 8th. Heike Navalov in 9th, followed by Ian Deeney taking reverse grid pole. Roy Plummer in 11th, followed by Elliot House, the AM category championship leader coming into tonight. Ollie Hansen 13th, followed by Stephen de Gravelia. Anastasios Georgiadis gaining a few places from his penalty, 15th for him. Bausio in 16th, followed by Coleman Corkery, Victor Gorik and a DNF, sadly, for Matt Jeffrey. We are going to go away for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it will be the next race of the night. Don't go away, this is the World Touring Car Challenge presented by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. Race 2 coming up very shortly. The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com. Welcome back everyone to the Monaco without buildings. It's the Hungaroring for round 5 of the championship, and this is race 2 coming up very shortly. So we'll round off the results of the previous race very quickly, and we'll also give you the grid for the next race. 2 in 1 here. So William Barrera took the win and therefore will start 10th for the next race, and Lee Horn taking 2nd in the race, followed by David Kernan. The grid for race 2 will be as follows. Finishing 10th, therefore will start on the top spot. Ian Deeney will line up on pole position alongside his teammate of Gavra Racing. Heike Navalov will line up 2nd. In 3rd will line up Mark Arrowsmith, a big advantage for him in the AM category starting there. He's 3rd and he'll be alongside Neil Crave. 5th will start Geoff Purkiss with Jamie Dory alongside him in 6th. Alex Ward will start 7th alongside David Kernan in 8th. 9th will start Lee Horn, followed by the race 1 winner William Barrera. 11th will line up Roy Plummer with Elliot House alongside him on the 6th row. Ollie Anson will line up 13th with Stephen de Gravelia alongside. Anastasios Georgiadis will line up 15th with Andreas Balcio alongside him. Coleman Corkery with a disappointing race 1. He'll line up 17th alongside newcomer for tonight, Victor Gorik. And DNF in the first race, but will start in 19th, is Matt Jeffrey. And here we go. This is the second race of the night here at the Hungaroring, the World Touring Car Challenge presented by Crest Autosport and NXTGEN Racing. My name is Alex Everitt. Welcome along to Crest Autosport TV and NXTGEN Racing TV from wherever you are watching, on whatever platform, wherever you are around the world. Do give us a like, share, follow and or subscribe. Very much appreciated in supporting the channels and the series. Drivers line up on the grid. A lot of Hondas starting in that top 3 there. Mark Arrowsmith, Heike Navalov and Ian Deeney there. We'll see if they get away well. We are lined up on the grid. Lights are red. We're about to go for the second race of the night. Away we go. And Ian Deeney with a good start there. And it looked like a good start from Mark Arrowsmith as well. Not such a good start from Heike Navalov in the middle there. But away we go and down towards turn 1 we go. Nobody gets a jump start that time around. Into turn 1 we go. Navalov is isolated on the inside, but is he able to hold his position? Arrowsmith round the outside into 2nd place. And fighting back there is Navalov with a good exit on the inside of the corner there. In the middle, that's Neil Crave trying to creep into the middle of Arrowsmith and Navalov, but he backs out of it, getting all squirrely on the inside there. But he keeps it going and he might find the inside of both drivers, Mark Arrowsmith and Navalov. Back into 3rd place he goes. Crave takes the position from Navalov, and peeling out from the slipstream there is Geoff Purkiss trying to get himself alongside and pass Heike Navalov here. He can't quite make it past, stays in 5th for now, and Jamie Dory's alongside him, trying to sneak his way past on the outside of turn 5 here. Round we go and up towards the chicane we go. 1 place gained already for William Barrera. 2 places gained for William Barrera. Into 8th place he's in already. And Geoff Purkiss has a slow down penalty, cutting the corner a little bit too much there. So far it's Ian Deeney out on his own. He's had 2 wins to his name so far this season. Both have come from being in the top spots from a reverse grid. Can this happen today? He's got drivers holding the rest of the field back at the moment. Mark Arrowsmith and Crave have broken away, but it is Navalov locked in a battle with Jamie Dory, who's looking all ways. He peels all ways and he looks to the inside, can't quite make it. Navalov holds him up to the inside And we'll have the inside for the next corner unless Jamie Dory dives down for the dummy. He doesn't quite make it. That did spook Navalov a little bit and put him wide. Jamie Dory now finds himself alongside the Honda as we go into the final corner of the first lap. Jamie Dory hanging on to the outside there. That Chevrolet's so good round the corners. He's able to hold it round the outside of the Honda. But at the end of the first lap, it is Ian Deeney leading the way from Mark Arrowsmith. Neil Crave not too far behind. He'll have a chance here to break past and try and break towards that top spot. And look back here, 3 wide going into turn 1. That was Jamie Dory in the middle, Navalov on the inside and Purkiss on the outside. But Jamie Dory gets a big undercut from Navalov as we exit the corner. Has the outside for the next corner, and Geoff Purkiss is trying to find the inside of Navalov. Backs out of it eventually, but Jamie Dory, he might have got himself into 4th place here. Yes, he has. This is what he was doing at Slovakia Ring last week. He was just getting through the pack. He has proved to be one of the best when it comes to overtaking in reverse grids in this grid. Brilliant stuff from Jamie Dory. And we've got William Barrera trying to get himself through as well. He's right on the rear of Alex Ward. He's getting a little bit of a love tap from David Kernan behind, and Lee Horn and Elliot House back here as well. Look at it all bunch up a little bit between all these drivers. Into the chicane. Horn goes to defend from Elliot House. He don't want to lose any more positions here, does Lee Horn? He's already lost 1 and he's let one of his championship rivals gain 2. Back towards the front. Mark Arrowsmith is being caught by Neil Crave and Jamie Dory here. Dory is on a mission right now. Might we see him take another big win from a reverse grid surge through the field? We'll find out, but Ian Deeney, he's proven really good at this. He's very good at getting to the front and staying at the front. Oh, Neil Crave. Neil Crave has gone wide there. He seemed to lock up the brakes and he's run wide and back down to 4th place he goes. That concedes Jamie Dory to the top 3. And look at that, a move from Geoff Purkiss on the inside of Navalov. Navalov is trying to cover it off, but Geoff Purkiss sticking it to the inside, sticking to his guns. He will keep the inside as we come down the main straight here. Deeney leads again for the second lap of the race. Purkiss is on the inside still of the Honda, but it seems that Honda is able to get ahead of the Lada. Into turn 1 we go. Could it be a 4 wide? Oh, it just was for a split second then. And through the corner we go. That's William Barrera on the inside there. He might have just picked off 3 people in 1 corner there. Yes, he has. William Barrera has just taken 3 people in 1 corner. Oh, and he runs wide here. That might have ruined it a little bit. Not Ian Deeney, Heike Navalov has found his way back in front of the Italian driver. Momentarily, best move of the season there from William Barrera. But he still took 2 in 1. Still rather impressive. Oh, we got Kernan defending the inside there. That really compromised his line. And look at that. That Geoff Purkiss sideways going through turn 5 and trying to sneak up the inside is Alex Ward. And it half worked. A bit of contact along the way. And Geoff Purkiss very slow on the side here. Has he picked up a puncture just then? I think he has. Yes, Geoff Purkiss has a puncture. There was a bit of contact there. And that's caused the tyre to burst. The championship leader in disarray here. And he'll have to limp it back to the pits, take on tyres and get himself back out into the race. The thing is, if he finishes the race, there's 18 cars running, he'll still get reverse grid pole, which should be enough to help with his championship bid still. Mark Arrowsmith has dropped out of 2nd from Jamie Dory passing him, and now Neil Crave has found his way past. Arrowsmith drops to 4th, but he might get an undercut here and get his way back into 3rd. Yes, he will. Just about, although Neil Crave has snuck back up the inside here at turn 14. Arrowsmith holds the position for now, and Neil Crave trying to get back in the slipstream to get it back to the inside for turn 1. Neil Crave late on the brakes here and is able to get it on the inside. We've also got Navalov trying another move on William Barrera. He is not letting William past him tonight. He stays 5th place. Big defending from the Swedish driver there in front of the Italian of William Barrera, the race 1 winner, who's up a few places from 10th place on the grid. Big moves through the grid have come from Jamie Dory, William Barrera, and also Coleman Corkery. He is up into 11th position. That's Geoff Purkiss in the pits, and he's missed his grid stall by the looks of it. But as long as he finishes, he gets reverse grid pole. That's all he needs to remember. Deeney is still clear at the front here. 8.5 minutes, and he's up against Jamie Dory. Jamie Dory's record this season consists of 1 win, and that was race 3 at Slovakia Ring. But he's had the most podium finishes of everyone, tied that with William Barrera for 6. Big battle in the midfield here. This is on board with Alex Ward, one of the Chevrolet drivers. He's dropped 1 place from where he started behind that man ahead of him, David Kernan, who's driving the James Thompson livery. And all these drivers bunched up behind Heike Navalov right now, who is defending so hard from William Barrera right now. And for much of the race so far. Big late apex there from William Barrera. You might get a good move on Heike Navalov here. Good slipstream down this straight is what he needs. He'll progressively move to the inside, but it's covered off by Navalov. He's forced to go to the outside. Very late on the brakes there. Contact between the two, but Navalov persists to keep the inside. He will not let Barrera get that move done. Into turn 2 we go. Navalov pulls across to defend again. And that has conceded the outside too. David Kernan. Oh, he got a little bit out of shape there. Wasn't able to keep it on the outside. It's a very tricky corner to hang it around the outside there as the rear end gets very loose on the car. At the front, Jamie Dory has near caught Ian Deeney. 4/10 between them and a move for the race win lead, potentially, is on the cards. William Barrera on the inside again of Heike Navalov, and that will definitely get the move done. Into the top 5 goes the Italian. Jamie Dory very close to Ian Deeney here. In fact, he has moved to the inside. He got a good run out of the chicane. Inside for this corner. Outside for the next corner. But Deeney cannot hang on to it just yet. Jamie Dory has moved into the lead here. From 6th on the grid, Dory is at the top. Kernan still ahead of Lee Horn. Horn is managed to gain a few positions now from where he was. He was 10th a moment ago. He's now up into 8th. Moves his way past Alex Ward. And of course Geoff Purkiss dropping off from that top 10. Geoff Purkiss is going again. But a long way down, he will still take reverse grid 2nd place. That's if Andrea Balcio can finish this race. It seems that he's had a disconnection of some sort, which might mean that Geoff Purkiss does end up reverse grid pole for the final race of the night. Into turn 1. Heike Navalov still defending very fiercely. And Mark Arrowsmith concedes 4th place to William Barrera. What a charge this has been from William. He gets himself nearer to that top 3. Oh, and that was a big move from Alex Ward. Kernan locking up the wheels there. A lot of smoke, white smoke coming off that wheel. Going around turn 2, and he's looking always to defend from Alex Ward as well. And it was Lee Horn who made his way past him. Do excuse me. Horn is up into 7th place. 2 places gained from where he started. 3 places gained from where he was just a few laps ago. And look back here, this Alex Ward giving a few nudges, as well as Elliot House on Alex Ward. Into the chicane they go. Elliot House in the top 10 here, and gaining on them is Coleman Corkery. We saw what he was capable of at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see if he can get stuck into this fight very soon. At the front, 4.5 minutes to go. Jamie Dory is broken clear of the pack. He's done what the others could, and that's get through the pack quick and clean. He's there in 1st on his own at the moment. Ian Deeney there in 2nd place. He seems to be maintaining that gap ahead of Neil Crave quite well so far. Arrowsmith still there in the top 5. And he has got a little bit of help from behind from Heike Navalov, just holding up everyone. He held up William Barrera for a good 3 laps or so. He's holding up Lee Horn right here, right now. Horn tries to look to the inside, but washing out wide is Heike Navalov, and that allows Lee Horn alongside and potentially pass on the main straight here. But look at that Honda, you can just see it ease its way ever so slightly past. Lee Horn has to pull back into the slipstream. Add that to that, Lee Horn has a bit more ballast on his car than Heike Navalov. Oh, and look at that, the undercut from David Kernan, and he might have found his way past Heike Navalov as well. Goes to the fend. And he gets in front. 2 places gained in one corner for Navalov and from Kernan. And now Navalov has got Lee Horn back on his inside. And Lee Horn makes it through. That was a bad few corners for Navalov there. But Lee Horn saw Kernan take the opportunity there, and he just had to try and muscle his way past. Got Alex Ward trying to make his way past Navalov now here. But still in 7th is Lee Horn. Oh, a bit of a nudge on the rear of David Kernan, who finished just behind him in race 1. Let's take a look what's going on further down the order. We got Anastasios Georgiadis up against Stephen de Grevelier here. It was a bit of a move from Georgiadis, but he's dropped back a bit. Went wide at turn 5 there. Horn looking always to try and get by David Kernan. Mark Arrowsmith will be happy to see all that going on behind him, as he'll be pleased to keep 5th if he can. A long way clear of his AM Championship rivals. Lee Horn looking always, can't get it to the inside of Kernan. We've got Alex Ward trying to find a way past Navalov as well, but Navalov parks it on the apex. Slow down penalty continued for Stephen de Grevelier. A bit of damage on his front end there. That might be losing him a little bit of pace, as he's up against AM Championship rivals Ollie Janssen ahead of him and Georgiadis behind him. Lee Horn just watching that ladder pull away on the straights here, but he's late on the brakes and will ease up in the corners. And I think we will get an extra lap here. We will get a lap 9, I believe. But Jamie Dory clear by 3.5 seconds. Getting his way to the front from 6th on the grid at the start of this race. Ian Deeney has lost a little bit of time from the drivers behind him. Warriors Motorsport ganging up on him, potentially Neil Crave and William Barrera there in 3rd and 4th. Now, do team orders come into play here? Both are technically in the fight for the championships. Do team orders come into play where William Barrera is on such a good roll tonight that he might be let through into 3rd place to go for more points? But Neil Crave also in the fight for the championship, so why can't he go for it? In an ideal scenario, they both get themselves in the top 3. An ideal scenario for Warriors Motorsport, but Gavra Racing will want another podium position for this man here, Ian Deeney. He's had quite a few to his name this season already. 2 top 3s. He had a win at Paul Ricard and a 2nd at Spa-Francorchamps, both coming in race 3. Lee Horn still over the rear of David Kernan, but we're going to stick with this battle here. Jamie Dory completes another lap, and we'll start the final lap from the lead here. Fairly safe and sound at the moment. Last week's driver of the day, Jamie Dory, and he's put in another good shift to put himself in the running for that today. Race 3 pending, of course. Ian Deeney defends into turn 1 fairly well, but has he gone too deep? Yes, he has. Neil Crave finds his way to the right side and has a good run out of the corner. Crave's nose is in front, as our timing screen is telling us. And into turn 2, he moves ahead and into 2nd place. Deeney is now under trouble from the race 1 winner, William Barrera. This is the view from the Italian, with the Brit ahead of Ian Deeney. That is the top 3. Sitting right there. He needs to pick his moment. There's not many overtaking opportunities on this track. He needs Ian Deeney to make a mistake, or he needs to find an overtaking opportunity from somewhere. Deeney slipping very sideways, going through turn 5 there. Opportunity is not yet, though. Barrera keeps his distance. He's trying to find a good exit from the corners here to move in towards that Honda ahead of him. Deeney will be pressured and will want to desperately hang on to this top 3 spot. Hooking up every corner fairly well so far, but a good run here from William Barrera coming out of the corner. Is he letting off on the brakes? Yes, just about, but he didn't quite have the inside. They still carry on battling. Into turn 13 we go. Deeney has the inside, but William Barrera will hang on to the outside and will have the inside for the next corner. Ahead he'll move William Barrera, but we must switch to our race winner. The race 2 winner here at the Hungaroring is Jamie Dory, and they did make it a Warriors Motorsport double podium in this race. Neil Crave comes through second with William Barrera a charge from 10th to 3rd, taking that final spot at the podium on the final few corners there. Ian Deeney from pole position finishes 4th, fought valiantly, but 4th is what he can manage here. David Kernan takes 5th, just ahead of Lee Horn, with Alex Ward taking 7th ahead of AM category winner again, Mark Arrowsmith. Another 8th place finish for him. Heike Navalov in 9th, followed by Coleman Corkery, who got himself into the top 10 in the latter part of the race there, with Elliot House falling down the order. Ollie Janssen took 11th, followed by Stephen de Gravelia in 12th. Ahead of Georgiadis, Victor Gorik in 14th. Roy Plummer dropped down a lot of places in that race to 15th. And Geoff Purkiss got a puncture early on in that race. He'll finish up in 16th. And Elliot House going very slowly around the track. Might be a puncture. I think he is. He has got a lot of damage or something on that car to be running slow. But Elliot House is trying to get himself to the end and put himself in the running for reverse grid pole, as Andrea Balcio didn't finish the race. But your race winner for the second time this season, his and William Barrera's 7th podium of the season, Jamie Dory is your race winner here at the Hungaroring. Elliot House really struggling to get it to the line for some reason. I'm not sure if it's fuel or something else. But he's very, very slow approaching the line. It seems like he may make it. And that's good, as that will get him reverse grid pole. And that is what he's hunting for. Oh, yep, he's just about made it. And there we go. There are your standings for race 2 of the night. 17 finishers. Jamie Dory at the top of them. Neil Crave second, followed by William Barrera. 4th goes to Ian Deeney with David Kernahan in 5th. Lee Horn is in 6th, followed by Alex Ward. Mark Arrowsmith takes 8th again in this race, followed by Heike Navalov in 9th. Coleman Corkery in 10th, followed by Ollie Janssen. Stephen de Gravelia in 12th. Anastasios Georgiadis in 13th, followed by newcomer for tonight, Victor Gorik. Roy Plummer 15th, followed by Geoff Purkiss. Elliot House in 17th, the last of the finishers, who will take reverse grid pole. We'll be going away for a few minutes now, but when we come back, it will be the final race of the night. Don't go away, race 3 coming up very soon. The GP Box is an online marketplace for motorsports merchandise and memorabilia. Browse for a whole range of motorsports products in all forms of motorsport. Take Formula 1 for example. There is a whole section dedicated to Formula 1 products from your favourite drivers, cars, teams or tracks from all eras of Formula 1. There are more series available, including WRC if you are a rally fan. You can even search for your favourite form of motorsport to see what products they have in your favourite forms of motorsport. Or, if yourself are a retailer in motorsport, you could set up your own shop within the GP Box to open up your products to a much bigger motorsport audience. Find out more at thegpbox.com. Welcome back everyone to the Hungaroring and the World Touring Car Challenge Round 5 of the Championship, coming to you here. Presented by Crest Autosport Next Gen Racing. The third race of the night is coming up very, very shortly. Here at this Hungaroring circuit in north-central Hungary, just 20 kilometers northeast of Budapest. The cars we have in store today are as follows: the Chevrolet Cruze, the Honda Civic, the Lada Vesta and the Volvo Polestar S60. So far tonight we have had qualifying of 15 minutes followed by a race of 15 minutes, and another 15 minutes racing has just preceded us. We now proceed into a 25-minute feature race. The grid of which for this race will be based on the results of race 2, which we've just seen, and we'll go through the results and the grid for this race very shortly. But the top 18 will be reversed, as only 17 finished that race. It will be a full reverse grid of those finishers. This is the season we're undergoing and undergoing in the future. Monza started just under a month ago, followed by Paul Ricard for round 2. Spa-Francorchamps was 2 weeks ago, and 1 week ago was Slovakia Ring. Today we're here at the Hungaroring, concluding the night over the next 30 minutes or so. Salzburg Ring will conclude the first half of the season in 1 week from today. We have seen great races at the Salzburg Ring over the past few seasons. We saw it race last in the DTM season not too long ago, the early part of this year. There'll be a week off between races 6 and 7, but race 7 will be at the Moscow Raceway in Russia. Round 8 will take place at Sonoma in Sears Point Valley in the USA. Round 9 will take place at the Twing Ring Motegi circuit in Japan, followed by a trip to China for round 10 of the championship at Shanghai. Round 11 of the championship takes place at Chang, aka Buriram, for the Thailand home circuit. And the Nordschleife will take place for the final round of the championship. The winner of said championship will take home an Apex Tracks prize in the form of a model sculpture crafted from F1 technology. The Nordschleife will be able to hang up in their room as a trophy for winning this series. But as well as that, the top 3 drivers in all categories, Pro and Am category, will take away a plaque prize, being the top 3 in the Pro or Am category, and the plaques presented by Uncle Luke's Sign and Sticker Shop. You can still get involved in this series even though we're quite a way through. All you have to do is go to crestautosport.com or nextgenracing.co.uk to find out more about the series and get involved. We join the live action here, and what we'll do is we'll give you a little bit of housekeeping. Now, 2 things to remember in this race coming up very shortly. Quite a lot of things to remember. One is the ballast will change. There's something we didn't mention at the start of the broadcast when we usually do, but we may as well just align you here. The ballast for the race 3 here is different to the ballast that the drivers carried in races 1 and 2, and qualifying of course. The ballast for them 2 races that preceded us is based on the championship standings, but the ballast for the final race of the night is based on the qualifying results from earlier on today, which they're wrong, so I will update them. There we go, that looks a bit more like it. William Pereira will carry 40 kilograms of ballast therefore, with being the quickest in qualifying. Lee Horn will carry 36 kilos, which is the same as what he was carrying anyway, so no different for Lee Horn. David Kernan 32 kilos, and it carries on going down in increments of 4 down to 10th place, where 4 kilos will be carried by Roy Plummer. That is the ballast for this qualifying race. Quite significant as some drivers practice with a lot less ballast, so it's a bit of a shock to the system, and it means they have to adjust particularly their suspension, their anti-roll bar, as the weight transfer of the car dramatically changes with ballast being applied to the car, and it's a bit of a shock to the system when it comes to travelling down the straights, but all to be revealed. This will be the grid for the race, which we'll run through again in a few moments time, but Elliott House will line up on the front of the grid, having just limped across the line in that previous race, just about made it to the line, but Elliott House will start on the front row alongside Geoff Purkiss. Purkiss, who was leading the championship coming into tonight, and that might have changed with that result that's happened right there in race 2. 16th is all he can manage, but second on the grid in this next race. He might be able to claw back some points, but it all depends on how well other drivers, including his rivals, move through the field. And Roy Plummer will line up behind him, and we'll run through the rest of the grid just a bit later on. So a little bit of a shout out time. A huge thank you to our sponsors, partners and affiliates of Crest Autosport and Next Gen Racing. We have Apex Tracks providing the prize for this league, and of course the main sponsor of Next Gen Racing, Power Max Racing. Along with Power Max Racing, partners include Joyce Design and Fast R for Next Gen Racing, and for Crest Autosport we have Track Racer and 603 Autosport. Running out of things to say now, but yeah, Yeah, interesting night of racing we've had so far, and we'll look at some of the live action here. William Barrera being the winner of race 1, took the pole and kept the lead throughout the entire race. It got very close between him and Lee Horn towards the end of race 1, where Lee Horn managed to get alongside and got his nose ever so slightly in front, but William Barrera managed to deny him of that by besting him in the battle and getting through at the end of the race in first. Race 2 of the night was won by Jamie Dory, coming through from 6th on the grid to take the win. And Jamie Dory is looking like a main championship protagonist here. Although we often call Jamie the part-timer of the series, he's only missed 1 race this season. If he carries on with that, with only missing 1 or 2, he is in the running, as there are 2 drop rounds in this championship. So basically, it means if you can't commit to the full amount, you're still in the running for the championship. If you miss no more than 2 rounds, gives a little freedom for drivers who have other things to do in their lives. But Jamie Dory, going back to talking about him, he has picked up many good results this season. In fact, there's only been 2 races where he hasn't really finished. Well, there's only been 2 races where he's finished below 4th position. One of them was race 2, round 1 at Monza, where he got a DNF in race 2 that day, and 10th in race 2 of Paul Ricard. Other than that, he's finished 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st. Certainly some good results coming out of Jamie Dory right now. Watching this man here, Viktor Gorik. Maybe a Swedish themed car, but it does bear similar colours to that of the Ukrainian flag. His first race meeting tonight hasn't quite been the big show that we'd expect from the Ukrainian team headed by Zaraya Gorunian, good friend of the series, who is entered into the series now. We'll see him next time at Salzburgring. But yeah, let's see what Viktor Gorik can do in this race coming up very shortly, race 3. We're about to progress into said race 3, what will be the start of the next race, and he'll be the grid. Starting from 17th at the bottom, pole position will be Elliott House. Geoff Purkiss will line up 2nd alongside Roy, in front of Roy Plummer. Alongside Roy Plummer will start Viktor Gorik, with Anastasios Georgiadis starting 5th. 6th will start Stephen de Gravelia. 7th will be Ollie Janssen, followed by Coleman Corkery alongside him. 9th will start Heike Navalov, with Mark Arrowsmith starting 10th. Alex Ward will start 11th, followed by Lee Horn. David Kernan will line up next in 13th, with Ian Deeney alongside him. 15th will be William Barrera, 16th Neil Crave, and 17th Jamie Dory. And if they take part in this final race, Andrea Balsio will line up 18th, with Matt Jeffrey in 19th. That is the grid for this next race of the night. About to get underway. Elliott House on the front row there, and to the left of him in the white, blue and red Russia colours, but it's Geoff Purkiss' livery. And here we go, this is the 3rd race of the night. Elliott House is on the front row. Someone hasn't made it to the grid. I think it's Georgiadis, but away we go. Elliott House gets away well. Geoff Purkiss, I don't think, got a good runaway, not quite as good as Roy Plummer. In fact, yes, he does. He's just about got himself ahead, and down into turn 1 we go. Elliott House positioned on the left side of the road, facing from the drivers, and there's a big spin in the middle. Big spin in the middle. That's Mark Arrowsmith off in the infield. Oh, and a big spin there. I think that's Alex Ward off as well. Big contact at the back there, and all drivers, apart from these 2, get away. Georgiadis has come out of the pits and has started at the back here as well. But a bad start for Mark Arrowsmith and Alex Ward. Geoff Purkiss has got himself into the lead while we were watching what happened at the back there. He's got himself ahead of Elliott House, and he'll be happy with this. Geoff Purkiss, leader of the championship coming into tonight, has got himself into the lead early on in this race. Coleman Corkery we're on board with here, following Roy Plummer. Coleman's had a quiet night tonight. He was one of the main features of the race at Spa-Francorchamps 2 weeks ago. Oh, as he cuts the chicane quite a lot there and has to serve a slow down penalty. He's just ahead of Stephen de Gravelia there. A good start to this race from Lee Horn, up to 7th place so far for him. ahead of many of his rivals. William Barrera hasn't done much better. He's there in 13th. He was caught up in the debacle at the beginning there. Jamie Dory is already up to 11th from 17th position. Big mover yet again, Jamie Dory. Big moves going on at the back here. That's William Barrera trying the inside of his teammate Neil Crave, but he's not able to let go. William Barrera did finish 3rd, but he has moved up 2 places from the start. Neil Crave has moved up from 16th to 12th, so big moves there from Neil Craig, but a few cars had dropped off, such as Alex Ward and Mark Arrowsmith, to help these guys progress forward. But at the end of lap 1, a long race ahead of him, but Geoff Purkiss heads the field, a second clear of Elliott House. Victor Gorik has got himself into the top 3, but he's being challenged here by Roy Plummer. Into the corner we go. Victor Gorik stays ahead, not giving Roy Plummer much room, but he stays ahead nonetheless. We have got Ollie Janssen and Neil Crave off. And that seemed like Ollie Janssen came around and Neil Crave had nowhere else to go. Can't get a replay yet again. It's RaceRoom's. Oh, wait a minute. That's William Barrera. That's not Neil Crave. That is William Barrera who was caught up in that. So, more drama for William. He had plenty of it at Spa. He had a little bit of it at Paul Ricard. And he has got to move his way through the pack now for the remaining 22 minutes of this race. A big race is on the cards here from William Barrera, I'm sure. We'll find out. Lee Horn in 7th place here, looking always to try and get by Stephen de Gravelli, who's gone a bit wide there, coming out of the chicane. Oh, Stephen de Gravelli. Oh, he's disappeared. There's a disconnection, I think, for Stephen de Gravelli again. And he drops off the radar. And down the order, Lee Horn promotes himself to 6th. But that is out of the race for Stephen de Gravelli. Oh, he's rejoined here. A lot of damage on that car. But that must have been a disconnection of some sort. A lot of damage on that car. Oh, and there's a spin in the mid-pack here. That's Roy Plummer and Victor Gorik. They've come together, and through goes Lee Horn. He's past Coleman Corkery, and he's going to move towards 3rd place here. So something's happened between Coleman Corkery and Roy Plummer and Victor Gorik. As we went on board with Roy Plummer, he just put himself in the fence. Through goes David Kernan into 5th place. Jamie Dory's in the middle here, trying to make his way past the Irish driver of Coleman Corkery and the Brit of Roy Plummer. And Jamie Dory might have eased his way ahead of the Honda here. At the front, Lee Horn has moved himself into the top 3. This is a big race from Lee Horn. He's seizing the opportunity to try and get away from his rivals, but also get back up towards his championship rival at the beginning of the night, Geoff Purkiss. And with this night that Lee Horn has had, he could well take the lead in the championship. This is a big performance in this race from him. Jamie Dory looking always. This has been another superb night from Jamie Dory thus far. And he's got to try and pass Roy Plummer here. fellow NXTGEN Racing resident driver. Can't quite make the move yet on the AM category defending champion. Back towards the back. William Barrera is up 1 place from where we saw him a few moments ago into 17th, with Stephen de Gravelli dropped off a few places. And look at the damage on that car. And that's what happens when you get a disconnect. At least that's what I think it was. Here goes Roy Plummer. Oh, he tried the inside there, did Roy Plummer. Had to back off. He felt like he was in the wrong there, and that allows Jamie Dory through. And now he is tucked in behind Coleman Corkery, who's trying the inside of Jamie Dory, but couldn't quite make it through. Coleman Corkery getting stuck in like what he did at Spa-Francorchamps just a few weeks ago. Lee Horn has broken away from Victor Gorik and will progress towards 2nd place. But at the end of lap 3, Geoff Purkiss leads another lap here. This is Jamie Dory battling with David Kernan. Kernan has proved difficult to battle with tonight against Lee Horn twice. Now he's got Lee Horn's teammate to worry about. Big late break from Jamie Dory here going into turn 1. Had to avoid going wide there. And Victor Gorik is being caught by the pair of these drivers here. Victor Gorik in that Volvo. Through turn 2 we go. Bit of news on the drivers who dropped down the order a bit earlier on. Alex Ward is battling with Ian Deeney here. This is for 13th place. Andrea Bausio is having a good race. He's gone from 18th up to 12th so far. Good race from him, and he's on the back of Mark Arrowsmith, who was caught up in a little bit of drama at the beginning of the race. Mark Arrowsmith has made up a fair few places. Kernan right on the rear of Victor Gorik here. Across the curbs we go, of turns 6 and 7. Oh, Victor Gorik getting loose on the rear end here. Victor Gorik didn't have much practice. He got into the server rather late, so he didn't have enough time to fine-tune his setup. But I'm sure Victor Gorik in later races will show what he's made of. He did very well in the Spa 50 event back in May. I think he finished in the top 10. A race like the Spa 50, that's good going. And that is Jamie Dory pushing pushing Kernan through past Victor Gorik. And through he goes. Kernan's into 4th, but Jamie Dory, can he get around Victor Gorik into 5th place? Gorik doing well to hang on to that there. He might be able to move across and get back in front of Jamie Dory. He doesn't. Dory puts it back on the inside and will hold the inside coming around the corner here. But how does the Chevrolet compare on speed to the Volvo? It's very tricky to compare. And in fact, it looks like they're fairly level parred on pace. Coleman Corkery has got a good line of speed there in the Honda, though. He'll look to the inside of Victor Gorik to try and take 6th place. Hasn't quite got the speed through the corner to keep it on the inside. He'll drop back behind the Ukrainian driver. Oh, a bit of a ping issue there. Victor Gorik lagging across our screen a little bit there. Coleman Corkery probably saw that as well and probably didn't know what to do. Elliott House has dropped behind Lee Horn. Horn has moved his way into 2nd place. And now he can set his sights on Geoff Purkiss, who is 3.5 seconds up the road. That might be a bit tough for Lee Horn to catch, but let's see what he can do. This has been a good night for Lee Horn in terms of the championship. This is exactly what he needed. It's a good result from himself and questionable results from other drivers around him. Roy Plummer missing the apex of the chicane there, trying to get up with Coleman Corkery here. Plummer will want to be higher up the order as Elliott House is further up the order in 3rd place. Elliott House is heading the AM category and coming into tonight. Roy Plummer will want to defend that. And results were showing at the beginning of the season that Roy Plummer was going to do well to try and defend that. But the last few race results have gone well in the way of Ollie Janssen and Elliott House. Ollie Janssen having a fairly quiet night tonight. He's down in 17th right now. It's not gone his way. Ian Deeney moves ahead of Andrea Bausio there into 13th place. Crave is battling with Navlov here. There's battles all over the field going on. Oh, and there's a big pile up in the final chicane there. Alex Ward has spun round and that collected everyone there. Ian Deeney's involved. Andrea Bausio. William Barrera was in there as well. And I think Alex Ward has got a lot of damage there. Something might have happened with the inside of the corner there. But we must look here. William Barrera is on the inside of Ian Deeney. Georgiadis goes wide. Deeney has gone the undercut. Back past the Italian. And look at all these cars battling. This is for 13th place. For 12th place, excuse me. Oh, and look at that. Bausio has moved into Ollie Janssen. And there's more drama between them all. It's a mess back here. And Ollie Janssen has ended up in the wall there as a result. It just seemed that Andrea Bausio has got a bit loose there, and it caused other cars to lose traction. And Ollie Janssen came out worse for wear out of the bunch of them. Barrera has still got a lot of work to do to try and make up the lost places. 13th is what he can manage right now, 19 seconds behind the top spot. And speaking of that top spot, the gap is coming down between Lee Horn and Geoff Purkiss. There's only 2.5 seconds between them. Just a few moments ago. It's coming down more and more. 2.2, 2.0, 1.9 there. Lee Horn is on a mission in this race and he's flashing his lights to try and distract Geoff Purkiss. But we saw Lee Horn also put in a stellar performance in race 3 last week as well, which put himself into 2nd in that race. Collecting good points from that race. If you are watching, wherever you are watching, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook via Crest Autosport or NXTGEN. Do give us a comment. Let us know who you think should be the driver of the day from tonight's round. It could be the driver you think has performed best. It could be the driver you think's put on the best show. It could be a friend of yours. Either way, let us know who you think deserves that driver of the day award. Don't get it. The drivers don't get anything out of it. It's just one of those recognition awards. David Kernan battling with Jamie Dory. Dory has found his way back past. And yet again, another good night for Jamie Dory. He's just able to move through the pack. He's been that driver in the last few races who just is that driver who's able to make the moves. Let's get back with these front two. There's not much else going on across the field. But Lee Horne and Geoff Purkiss now below 2 seconds between them 1 lap later. You know what? Lee Horne can catch Geoff Purkiss here. This is first versus second coming into tonight in the championship. There were only 10 points between them coming into tonight. And if my calculations were correct, after race 1 there was only 2 points between them. And after race 2 there'll be a lot more points between them with Lee Horne heading the 2. So this really does cement Lee Horne's stance at the top of the table without drop rounds to consider. That is something we are going to apply after round 6. It's the first of 2 drop rounds. A comment in Facebook from Thomas Dory. Thank you for the comment. Neil Crave is his driver of the day. And you know what? Neil Crave has put in a stellar performance tonight. 2nd place in race 2. And a strong performance in race 1 as well. 10th right now with a few cars ahead of him. Can he make up a few more positions as the night goes on? Oh, and slow at the back here. That's Ollie Hansen and Stephen de Grevelier. Something's happened between them, and de Grevelier struggling to get away here. And let's revert to the front. We have got Jamie Dory up against Elliott House here. This could be Jamie Dory moving it into the podium spots again. The winner of race 2. Trying to get himself on that top spot. And Jamie Dory got driver of the day last week, and I'm one of those people that doesn't like to give driver of the day to the same driver 2 weeks on the trot. And in fact, it happened once last season to Eamon Hakim as he got a 3-peat of wins 2 times on the trot. You know, this might be another night where Jamie Dory is in contention for that driver of the day spot. He's looking all ways. Elliott House defending real hard ahead of Jamie Dory here. Dory will get the undercar here. Oh, and a bit of a nudge from David Kernan to try and say, get a move on. But it hasn't quite worked. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between Elliott House and Jamie Dory. These two have come together many times in the past. Just seems to be a battle that... Oh, there we go. Jamie Dory moves his way into 3rd place. A rather muscly way through, but he's into the top 3. And in fact, Kernan might be able to utilise on that. Good move from Jamie Dory yet again. He just looked all ways and he made the move happen. But Elliott House fighting back here. Into 3rd place he goes. That was a brave move back and it caught Jamie Dory off guard. And Jamie Dory flashing his lights. He might not be happy about that. Either that or he's trying to put off Elliott House as he moves wide. He's outbroke himself. It might have worked. Jamie Dory might have made that work, flashing his lights to distract the driver. And through they go. House moves down to 5th. You've got Neil Crave fighting here for 10th position. Sorry, 9th position with Heike Navalov. One of the closest battles on the standings at the moment. That's excluding Elliott House, who's pretty close to David Kernan right now. Trying to make his way back into the top spots. Lee Horne has caught Geoff Purkiss. He has reeled him in so quick in the last 3 minutes. And the battle is on between these 2 drivers. They were 1 and 2 in the championship coming into tonight. And by the looks of it, Lee Horne is the much quicker of the 2. Can he get the move done? Geoff Purkiss couldn't quite hit the apex on the 12th corner there. Into turn 13. Oh, Lee Horn goes wide. He switched directions of the car. And it didn't quite work. Lap 10 about to begin for these two drivers. 8.5 minutes to go. Plenty of time for Lee Horn to get this done. His pace has been able to get up with Geoff Purkiss. Late on the brakes at that 100 metre board on the left. Into turn 1 we go. The sun's setting on the Hungaroring here. Into turn 2 we go. And you can just see that Chevrolet is not losing its rear end in the corners here, whereas that Lard is a lot looser on the rear end. And I suppose that's why it's able to get such good speed down the straight. Oh, hang on, we have to break away. Elliott House is in the pits. He was 5th place and now he's in the pits. It's race over for Elliott. Something's happened to him and someone else. But we have to revert to the front. Lee Horn is looking to the inside. He isn't going to make it. He's pulled back in behind. Geoff Purkiss in the Jan Elache livery. In the Sabine Schmitz livery is Lee Horn. Through the middle complex we go. This is where the Chevrolet is much stronger than all the other cars in the field here. William Barrera with a slowdown penalty. He's up to 10th now. He's making his way through slowly but surely. Let's see where he can get to before the end of the race. It's quite close between 6th and 9th. So William Barrera might be able to catch up with them. Lee Horn going wide again at turn 13. Struggling, it seems, for that corner. Might be braking a bit too late. Might be transferring the weight of the car a bit too much for entry to that corner. He seems to be doing kind of a Scandinavian flick into that corner. I'm not quite sure it's working. But who am I to know? Lee Horn has got himself through the field to this top spot right here. Geoff Purkiss suddenly seems to have put the hammer down, and it looks to be that Lee Horn is struggling a little bit to get up on the rear of that Larder again. And we saw how difficult it was for Lee Horn to overtake William Barrera in that first race, and it nearly happened on the final lap, but it didn't. Can we see the same again here? Now Lee Horn doesn't need to do anything silly though at this point. Lee Horn will hold the lead in the championship, and a good night here will help him when it comes to the drop rounds. He's had a lot of good nights, that's the thing, so Lee Horn will be dropping a lot of points. Oh, and I think he found his way to the inside there. He did, but Geoff Purkiss gave him room and was able to keep momentum around the outside of the corner there. Horn is taking much deeper lines through the corners, but can't find a way far enough alongside yet to get past Geoff Purkiss. And a comment on the YouTube chat. Andrea Balcio's computer did crash for this race, for the second race, which saw him out of that Elliott House. I haven't heard from him yet, sadly. Not really sure what happened to him. Out of the final corner to start another lap here. Geoff Purkiss trying to break the slipstream a little bit from Lee Horn. Horn moves to the inside much later on the brakes, but is not able to get up the inside. A swap of positions back here. Plummer versus Crave. I think Plummer moved ahead of Crave then. And a flash of the lights from Neil Crave there. Might not be happy with something that Plummer did. Oh, and Victor Gorik, something happened to him. He's in the pits. Is he taking a pit stop there? Might have been a drive-through penalty. We haven't noticed. Victor Gorik in the pits, 14th place now he's in. Alex Ward will probably move past. Neil Crave there. It's a big battle between him, Navalov behind, and Plummer ahead of him. But Gorik has retired from the race. Something happened in the pits there and he had to revert to retiring. That's 2 retirees from this race, Gorik and House. Wide there goes Plummer. Crave is going to sneak up the inside here. Nothing to report from Horn and Purkiss just yet at the front. Oh, look at that big dive from Neil Crave. And it hasn't quite worked. He goes straight on at the chicane and will serve a slowdown penalty and will concede not just 1 but 2, 3 positions to Navalov and Barrera as well. Barrera is trying the inside of Navalov but can't quite get it past just yet. But this is better from Barrera. He's into the top 8 now. And it's not over yet. He might be able to even make more positions up. And I think he got a good run. He is. He's made his way past Navalov and is into 7th place. Nothing yet to report from these two. Let's see what Lee Horn can do for the rest of this race. He couldn't quite find a way past Barrera, but still, it's been a pretty good night from Lee Horn, as it has for Jamie Dory back here as well. David Kernan has also had a very, very good night. That has got to be said. 3rd place in race 1. A good finish in race 2 as well. Really, the top performers tonight have been 2nd, 3rd and 4th there, Horn, Dory and Kernan. So driver of the day comes between them. And because Dory got it last week, I'm not obliged to give it to him this week, I'm afraid, Jamie. It's either going to Horn or Kernan. But let's see how Horn gets on for the remainder of this race. The conclusion of this lap will start the final lap. Not many more opportunities now for Lee Horn, and he'll know that. Both drivers who race in VR headsets must be dripping with sweat. The strain of this battle. They've had great battles already this season. And look at that run from Lee Horn. Purkiss goes to defend the inside. Horn can't get it alongside. Can't get it past either. The final lap will start for these two drivers. Purkiss holding the inside. He's defended very well. And this is the part of the track where the Lada is safe from the Chevrolet. They start the final lap now. Purkiss breaks away. And I bet this is the point where Lee Horn is thinking, why does the Chevrolet have to be so slow? He outbrakes the Lada going into turn 1. Tries an undercut. Is he going to go right for turn 2 or is he going to go left? He's going to go right. He's alongside. Can he hold it around the outside for turn 2? Into the corner we go. Lee Horn round the outside. Can he hold on to it and hold the inside for turn 3? Yes, he can. But Geoff Purkiss has got his nose ahead. And he will stay ahead coming up the hill towards the difficult turn 4. Running out of time now is Lee Horn. But what a night this has been. And therefore gets my Driver of the Day award. The Apex Tracks Driver of the Day, Lee Horn. But can he finish it off? Can he finish off a good night? Purkiss has defended so well. Lee Horn caught him so quickly. But has defended this so well. And I've always said Geoff Purkiss is the Matt Neal of the field. Just so difficult to overtake. Running out of time here is Lee Horn, and Geoff Purkiss could be on his way to another win this season. He picked up the race 2 win at Spa-Francorchamps. This could be race win 2 of the season. He defends the middle of the track going into turn 12. Turn 13 coming up, not many more opportunities now. Horn looks to the outside. Geoff Purkiss will hug the inside of the corner. And I think that might be a good exit from this corner. Lee Horn relinquishes it by the looks of it. Unless he can get a good undercut here. I don't think it's going to happen. The Lada is pretty powerful out the corners. And Geoff Purkiss will take his 2nd win of the season. Here at the Hungaroring, Lee Horn, our Apex Tracks Driver of the Day, takes 2nd place. Another great result for him. Another good night. And a charge through the field in many races yet again from Jamie Dory. David Kernan with another brilliant performance tonight. Takes 4th in this final race. Coleman Corkery had a very quiet night, but a 5th place here, a strong finish for the Irishman. Good driving from him. William Barrera, a good comeback to take 6th place in that final race after it seemed to just fall away from him in the early parts. Heike Navalov battled ferociously with many drivers in that race. He takes 7th place. Roy Plummer, top of the AM category in this race with Elliott House getting a DNF. That will help him in the AM category championship. He takes 8th. Neil Crave takes 9th place, a good 9th for him. A 2nd place in race 2, but 9th place is what he can manage in this one. Mark Arrowsmith with 3 top 10 finishes tonight. That's real impressive and probably been one of his best nights. Big congratulations to him. There are your classified standings of race 3 here. Geoff Purkiss takes the win from Lee Horn. Jamie Dory takes 3rd from Kernan. Corkery 5th. Barrera 6th. Navalov takes 7th from Roy Plummer. Neil Crave 9th and Mark Arrowsmith 10th. Georgiadis takes 11th from Ian Deeney in 12th. Andrea Balcio in 13th, followed by Alex Ward and Ollie Anson in 15th, who had quite a bit of drama in that race. Final of the finishers, 16th place for Stephen de Gravelia, and non-classified finishers, Victor Gorik and Elliott House. Well, there we go, everyone. That has been round 5 of the championship here from the Hungaroring for the World Touring Car Challenge. Next week, we are off to Salzburgring. We're travelling west to Austria for that next round of the season. Salzburgring, not a very famous track, but it is a great track for touring car racing. It's certainly one you're going to watch with some of the highest speeds you'll see these cars go on that track. That is next week on the 21st of October. Tune in from 7:45 UK time to catch all the action as it happens live. Huge thank you to Crest Autosport, NXTGEN Racing for making it all happen in the World Touring Car Challenge, and the sponsors, Apex Tracks, Powermax Racing, Track Racer, Fast R, 603 Autosport, and Joyce Design. I've been Alex Everitt, your commentator tonight. We'll see you next time in Austria. Thank you.